Okay. Perfect. Do you want me to have World Anvil up on my end, or are you just gonna do that? I think so. Cool. Yeah, totally. Yeah, right. Ah, wow. That's awesome. Hey. Awesome. Yeah, no kidding. Hell yeah. That's okay. That's what it looks like over here too. Don't hear anything. Oh, I can't hear anything, so we're probably good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo! Yes. Woo! Awesome. Oh, I forgot to ask, what time are we planning on going to? I can't remember if I asked you before. Yeah. Yep, that should be good. Yep.
Hello. How are you all doing?
I'm doing great. I'm the only one here.
Awesome. My name is Ian. And with me today, I have Eli Rawson, also known as Dungeon Master Eli. And go ahead and say hi.
Oh, hi. Hello. Yep, super, super happy to be here.
It's wonderful to have you here. So, the basic idea here is woohoo, Servo Smash!
Hey, I know that guy. What's up? That's
Nice.
awesome.
So, the basic idea here that I had was I had the idea a while back when I was planning for my next D&D session, and I was having a little bit of trouble coming up with like inspiration that day. So I started searching on YouTube and Twitch and stuff for like Dungeon Master inspiration or things like that. But I didn't really find it. So I decided that why don't we make a collective effort to make like a workshop where we build an entire world together. With we could build countries, we could build settlements. It could be just a bar or an NPC or an adventure or a hook or pretty much anything we feel like, and make it available to anyone who wants it, anyone who wants inspiration, anyone who feels like contributing, uh, and I guess like that's the basic premise of this. Um, so I talked to Eli about this, and he was super stoked.
Super stoked.
So I guess let's hop into. We are going to be using a tool, a website called World Anvil to do this. Here we go. It's a pretty useful tool where you can kind of like get prompts and make different kind of pages where you can link them together and stuff.
Pretty user
So
friendly. I think I
yeah,
think it beats like piles of notebooks is what I usually do. It's a lot more like nice, good UI, like really easy to get in and just edit
yeah,
stuff on the fly. Have a compendium of all your stuff. So yeah.
exactly. Rather than in your case having piles of books, or in my case going, screw it, I'll just keep it all in my head, which obviously works out so well.
Totally.
So I'm gonna go ahead and click New World. So I guess our first question, is this showing the right thing? I don't think it is.
Oh no.
Hello. Thank you for following, Dorman. Uh, I think. Babe. I think I messed up a little bit here.
Oh no.
Girlfriend to the rescue. All right. What's up? What's up?
It's not showing the same thing.
Oh shit. Okay. Eli, stall.
Ah,
Come on. We know you
hey,
can.
how's everybody doing? Dorman, what's up? Small town salt. Damn, there's a lot of people in chat. Awesome. How are you guys doing? Servo Smash. I know you usually have some toad tips for me. You got any toad tips for the Carpe DM crew this morning or this evening for you guys? Um, Good, awesome. Glad to hear that.
Oop.
I had a player death. Actually, I had my first legitimate PC death last night in my game. It was streamed, so you can go to my channel and watch it if you want.
Yeah.
Uh, the only player death that I had had before was one that we kind of agreed on beforehand because Frank, my baby brother who plays Sanjana in the current game, he got sick of playing his chaotic neutral half-orc barbarian. And he was like, this sucks. I'm tired of playing Fok. Fok is stupid. I want a new character. So he's like, I told him, like, hey, what we can do is we can just transition him out. we can be like, okay, Fox an NPC now. He's gonna go do like his own thing. And he was like, no, I just want to kill him. So I was like, So we came to session that night. They were in a dungeon, and Fox went out in the blaze of glory. But this time, I literally had a player jump off a cliff. He jumped off a cliff and got eaten by a bunyip. So that's a thing.
and
Toe
the
tip, drink less
crazy,
water.
like, combo, because he was doing really well for a while, but then all of a sudden, like,
Yes.
a nat 1 on his grasping hand, or shocking grasp, and then followed by a nat 20 from the bunyip.
Yeah, that creature was not intended for one level 3 PC to fight it by himself. So, Servo Smash wants to remind us to drink lots of water. Jacob Atten, right? Is that right, or am I cringing American? Working on making a tiny D&D character sheet, hardcore book.
There we go.
Characters killed. It's true. Are we good?
I think so. The only thing I'm considering is how's the volume?
Yeah, good question.
It's too loud.
Too loud.
I think that's probably.
Or it might be too low still.
Yeah, we'll
Small town
give it a sec
politics
so they can
depends on
answer.
the group. You're totally right.
He wrote that a while back. Is the music better now, or waiting in suspense?
Good old chat delay.
Yeah. It's better now. Still have a hard time hearing me. Okay. Would it help if I get a little bit closer?
I can probably stand to do the same. Good blurry.
Maybe down another notch. Can I go down another notch?
Oh, he says that's better. Sick.
Oh, shit. Eh! En un minute. Like this? Okay, cool. Cool,
Am I all good on my end too?
Hashtag
Hey,
first
looks
stream.
like we're good. Yay!
Okay,
Good
there
times
we
all
go.
around.
I just want to see if I can get it a little bit further down.
Good toe tip, Servo. Eat some food so you won't get sick.
There we go.
Hooray!
Okay, so how about we throw out the very first question to chat?
Mm-hmm.
And that is, what is the name of this world?
It's a good one.
And in the meantime, we can also talk a little bit about what kind of world is this? Like, what makes this... At least the angle that I like to use is the question of what makes this particular world different from your average fantasy world? Or do we want it to be a classic fantasy, high fantasy world? Or is it low fantasy? Or, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, good questions all around. Nothing wrong with that. I think gunpowder is usually the first thing I go to if I'm doing fantasy. I'm like, gunpowder, yes. Is it a thing?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like Enlightenment era or something.
Yeah,
I always end up skewing towards like Norse mythology inspired stuff. I can't help it. It just always happens.
Zartheria.
Zartheria, sick.
Let's begin with a core concept. Yes, that sounds good. It could be good if there's not many strong states with much unexplored wilderness, maybe after a collapse.
Love that.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. What if it's a kind of like, I mean, technically it's pretty close to the world that I'm running in my campaign, where it's like post-apocalyptic. It's almost like it has restarted.
Yeah, totally.
But I'd be down to do something like that again. What is the first thing you want to tell the others when explaining the world? Yeah, that's a cool thing. The tectonic plate collapse.
Tectonic plate collapse. Ha! That's awesome. Yeah, cataclysm. Love it.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Ooh, what if, like, according to mythology, basically the actual reason was like a tectonic plate collapse, but what if like the common knowledge in this world is that we angered the gods with our bickering, and they split the world in twain. So there's a big gash that goes through. Or something.
Oh, like the result of that is still there. Like life goes on, but now there's literally like a huge gash in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick. And I'm sure lots of bad things could come out of that, right?
Yeah.
Shit crawling out of the core of the planet or the world or whatever.
I do actually like the name Zartheria.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
So, I really like that idea of strong nation states with wilderness. That's something I usually incorporate when I do homebrew, just because it leaves you so much room for just like endless adventures and stories and stuff. Like there's still so much out there that we don't know, so it's just like boundless potential.
Yeah. It'd be really cool if like there are some developed countries, but they're not huge. And they're surrounded by vast wilderness.
Yep, love that.
So, I just want to point out that technically English is not my first language anymore, so my spelling might be a little off. Please ignore the typos as long as you can read what it says.
Wilderness can be kind of like cowboy states, small settlement towns.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Could be little micro civilizations going on, or just like one-off villages and stuff. People tell tales about the Age of Heroes when people were good, but then we fell due to being complacent. Ooh, we're getting real with this. Climate change is real, guys.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's really cool.
Really
Would
cool.
this? Do you feel like this would spur on a lot of like renewed and really strong religious fervor in the new world, or do you think it would sort of be like back to form, kind of like doing the same thing? What do you feel about that?
Yes, Serval Smash. That was exactly what I was thinking, that the gash would be just a permanent sea of lava.
Like
maybe
that.
even like some of the lava has been cooled by the sea. So there's like a big mountain range dividing the sea, one on each side of the lava.
Man. I already like want to put monsters in these lava mountains. That's so sick.
Right. And I really like the idea of having lots and lots of small religions.
Yes.
Although I'm thinking like most of the religions share some things in common, such as I think that pretty much all religions agree that the gods were responsible for the big gash, but they might have different opinions of why it happened, and that could give good conflict between religions. That one religion says that, oh well, we got too complacent, we didn't do enough. Well, another religion might say that, oh, we tampered too much, we did too much.
I love that.
It's a little bit like religion in our world, where not to get too deep into that stuff, but kind of like how Christianity, Jewish, and Islam, they're virtually the same thing. They're just different interpretations, kind of.
Yeah, I like that.
Uh,
I think that'll really strike a chord just based on kind of that common knowledge. That'd be pretty cool. I like the idea of so you have some who's like, oh, how can we prevent this again? How can we do this? I like the idea of doomsday cults being in the world too. Maybe even if it's just a few small scattered ones, like, oh no, that was great, we should do it again. Like, we should get the gods to finish the job.
Yeah.
Like,
a religious
like
order would have
results.
an easier time surviving the collapse, and some of them may become small countries, like Teutonic Order in real life.
Real life, yeah.
What is
awesome.
magic? What are the main rules, if they are any? Make some way of travel through the sea of lava to get to the other side. Yes. All of these things.
Bro, lava
Eli,
ships,
while
that's
I'm
the
typing
coolest
this,
shit I've
could
heard all
I
day.
put you on taking notes of the thing that chat says? Because there's lots of great suggestions coming in.
Yeah.
Religions pop up in every little settlement that survived or has formed anew. I'm just writing little bullet points. What else did we talk about? Write down main questions to answer later down the line. Yes, that's what I set Eli to do. Can be useful to make a chart where you can see how much you have of each environment. That's also a good idea.
Yeah.
And I will say now that I am planning on having having my fiancée Sarah as a guest at a later stream where we will make a world map. So normally, from what I've heard, maybe have one side be more magic users and the other side have less magic users. Yeah, that's again referring to my own world that I made for my campaign. I had like two main countries on a continent where one was more focused on magic and one was more focused on technology, almost kind of like in Dragon Age.
Yeah.
Where you were like dwarves couldn't use magic, but they were great with technology and shit. If I remember that correctly. It's been a while.
Sounds right to me, but I've only played one or two of them so far.
But yeah, absolutely. Like, yes, and the list of religious groups and factions and stuff, that's one of the reasons why World Anvil is so good. For now, I'm gonna just create the world. We'll be using an RPG system. I will say, because I play a lot of D&D 5e, we will set that for now. But the goal is to try to make it as accessible as possible so that you can translate it into any system. Actually, should we not choose one? For that very reason. Let's do that. Okay, here we go.
Good point.
So as you can see here we have lots of different things we can do. We can do a generic article, we could create a building, a character, condition if we want to have a pandemic in-game as well. Let's not. We have enough as it is.
Too soon. Too soon.
Way too soon. But you can also write like a conflict, as in like the peasants flee to the places where the monsters can be fended off, while large areas are reclaimed by nature. Yes, that is spot on. I love the idea of having, like, in my head, I have this image of a major city. Maybe not New York big, but think like Chicago or Boston or Paris or whatever. You know, like you have a city like that, but all the buildings are crumbled, overgrown with vines. There are animals that have adapted and basically live in these buildings, using them as their lairs and stuff. Lycanthropy and vampirism. I mean, you can't not have it.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I love that stuff. There might be
I like what
monsters
Salt
that
on Salt said.
are rated by the gods as punishment of specific sins. That could be really cool. Like, there could be quote unquote holy monsters. They're basically just monsters, but they're considered divine beings designed to punish the wicked.
Yeah. Gives me like Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls vibes.
Uh-huh.
Like, no, we're the good guys. We're just gonna kill everybody.
Okay, so we're getting lots of good suggestions. Where do we start? Do we want to start with a settlement or with... Like, if we take a look at these, is there one that stands out to you guys? A settlement, says Cape Satan. Hello, Cape Satan, by the way. Vampires might be created by gods or civilization as a reaction to the gods' anger. Potentially. We'll keep it in mind. Let's start with a settlement. I like that.
Yeah.
As I was saying before, I know of two common ways to world build when you start out. One is to start big and go smaller. The other one is to start small and go bigger. But I've always felt like when you go small and go bigger, I've always had the issue of like a small town would be affected by the bigger picture as well. But I feel like we kind of have a bigger picture, so we could start small and build outwards.
Yeah.
So let's start with a settlement. Here we go. Let's get some names. Now, one of the ways I do it is this very nifty website called fantasynamegenerators.com.
Yep.
So we can go through some of that and see what chat says.
Cool. I'm into that.
Why people are in this place. We will get to that question. Fantasy names. So as you can see, there are loads and loads of name generators. Getting stuff. Getting stuff from A to B through no man's land can be a very good low-level adventure. Yeah, absolutely. Like that absolutely gives an excuse to have the good old escort quest. Like, we need to get this to another settlement, but there are beasts out there. Names for settlements usually come along when you have an idea of the theme of the settlement. Yeah, that's a good point.
Fair, yeah.
Type. Since we're starting small and going bigger, let's make this a hamlet. That's pretty small. Yeah. So let's just throw out some. Actually, Eli, how do you usually do when you want to create a settlement?
Yeah, good question. So I usually go from what somebody in the chat said about kind of starting with a concept or a theme first.
Mm-hmm.
I also, me personally, I have to do the start small and build out. Otherwise, I just get like I get too like overwhelmed and pulled in too many directions, I think mentally.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of do what we did. Concept, okay, this is like the general idea of the world. Now let's like get in detail.
Mm.
So in terms of settlements, usually my two questions are like, what kind of adventures do I have kind of like big picture in mind for this world, and how would this settlement serve or impact those? Um, Second, I would just think like, okay, why is this here? Why did this happen? Like,
Mm-hmm.
was there some kind of big battle here and it's like a holy site? Is this something where just it had like fertile like farmland and access to water, so like a farming community grew up? Um that's a good question. Who protects the hamlet? Mercenaries, militia?
Yeah.
Um yeah, so I kind of just try to think first, like, why is the settlement even here in the first place? Why are there people here and not somewhere else?
Yeah. So I'm just gonna throw out some random ideas. For instance,
Cool.
it could be like this is a brand new settlement.
Hmm.
Like some people have been camping out here for a few months while you know kind of clearing the area, securing it, and now that they've secured it, they started building, and that's part of why it's so small is because it's very new. Uh, is this volcanic? Is this settlement in the volcanic area? That's a good question. Like, I probably shouldn't be thinking about it too much, but a part of me is kind of like, is this going to be like the starting town for the heroes?
Sure.
And if so, do we want it to be right at the edge of what's potentially like a big reveal? It could be kind of cool if it's
Hmm.
quite the opposite. It's far away, where people talk about this. No one living there has ever seen the scar, or whatever we want to call it.
Hmm.
But they've all heard legends of it.
That would be the appeal to me as a player too. Like, I want to go there. I want to see what's in the lava lake or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good thing to work up to.
Maybe a strategic point between two bigger settlements. I like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's a pretty cool idea. To have it be like a trade hub.
There you go.
Volcanic soil is very fertile. Yeah, that's also true. But I do feel like we can absolutely make note of this for another settlement that's close to there.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking if we're starting small and building outwards, we probably want to start with like a starting location for our heroes.
Right.
And in that case, I think it's probably a good idea to have it be. It doesn't have to be like on the other end of the country or whatever, but it's still far enough away that no one living there has ever seen it themselves. They've only heard the stories. I do really like the idea of having a strategic, like, probably it was just. What about what? You mean who protects the hamlet, or do you mean the volcanic soil part? The strategic point. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. I really like the idea of having a strategic point where it may have been like, oh, this was a good place to rest your horses or something, and over time, it became so frequently used that people started setting up businesses like lodging or protecting or whatever, for whatever reason. Like, this was a good spot, and this has started becoming like a settlement because of that.
I love that. It's like a rest stop that grew into a village.
Yeah, exactly. It's I'm actually gonna write that, rest stop.
Nice.
It sounds like you have something there. Yeah. Rest stop between two larger settlements.
I think that gives some good incentive to go out and find those settlements too. So I always think when I play like Elder Scrolls or Fallout and stuff, when I hear about the big cities, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get there and see like all the stuff that's there.
Yeah. For the smaller settlements, there might be guards with basic training for keeping the law and a more trained chief of authority. Yeah, I kind of like that. And then I kind of like the idea of it being... It probably was like a mercenary thing at first, but at this point, some of the mercenaries just, you know, because there was always something to do there, they just stayed there and... kind of not even knowing it themselves, they started forming a militia of sorts.
I love that. I think that fits really well into that kind of frontier town theme too, because if this was essentially founded by mercenaries, there's probably like a rough, tough, no bullshit, like small town sheriff that kind of runs the security operation there. It's just like a grizzled old mercenary who'll kick your ass if you step out of line.
I like
Love it.
All right, militia. Different factions might have more military people guarding their interests and operations. Yeah, like that could also be a thing. I'm gonna
totally
see if I can mute myself on. I was hoping I could just mute my entire messenger.
Yeah.
That works too. There we go. Yeah, like outlaw groups of exiles, criminals, and heretics, etc. That is a potential. That did give me an idea, though, which we can keep for later, which could be that what if one of the punishments nowadays for laws are exiles, is being exiled, given only like a sword and a torch or an axe or something, and basically you're just sent out into the wilderness to clear as many beasts as you can.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Because that provides like a punishment, which also is useful, and at the same time that also gives the potential to have an exile outpost where people who have who have been exiled have met up, and not wanting to die alone, they've kind of gathered together and made their own little community.
This is giving me like some Jon Snow Night's Watch vibes.
Yeah, kind of.
I really like that idea.
A little bit like that. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so main income would be protection, basically. Protection, lodging.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense, yeah.
Or technically, I guess, main income merchants?
Yeah, it'd be kind of a trading hub if, you know, people are stopping there consistently in the two cities.
Services. There we go. Yeah. The Exiled Adventures. Yeah, that's cool.
That sounds really cool.
Okay, so where do we go next, Eli?
Good question. So to me, logically, if this town's whole thing is it's between two major cities, maybe let's start thinking about not necessarily all of the minor details of those cities, but maybe like what's the big picture idea on each one. So is one of them located next to like mineral rich like mountains or something, and they get
Mm,
their income by mining and ship those goods or those raw materials outward? Is there a city that is more based around agriculture, or maybe that's where one of these like major religious orders is located? Why are these two cities so important, and why is this place doing so well by being on the cross section between them?
yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Let's see. Could could be a thing to add political intrigue later. The Order of the Holy whatever wants the town to submit to the rule and for added protection. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
That's really
that's
cool.
good.
I do like the idea that you posted there about the minerals. Uh, it could potentially be like there's a mining town uh, for very like mineral rich rock and stuff. So they transport out, and the other town could have like a lot of farms around it or something. So
Mhm.
like one town provides food for the mining town, whereas
Yep.
the mining town provides materials and stuff. And
Nice.
that could also explain like how this hamlet gets by,
Hmm.
because I don't it doesn't feel like they're the type like they would be growing their own food.
Mm-mm.
So maybe it's like, well, part of the tax or cost of the services is that they get a cut of the food, the
Yep, that
materials
makes
to
sense
make
to
food.
me. I like that. And especially in a world that feels so just like struggling by the skin of their teeth to get by, I kind of like the
Yeah,
idea of that barter culture as opposed to like a universal currency. I think that
yeah.
feels really fitting.
I mean, there's probably going to be a currency, but I'm
Sure.
thinking that bartering will be a lot more common.
Yeah. And
Uh,
especially for a small town like that, seems a lot more close to their actual needs.
the taste of water is depending on the minerals and other stuff in the water. Consider what people enforce the trade and the money that circulates in it. Italian banks
Hmm.
come to mind for me. Yeah. Uh,
Nice.
that is a good point, and that is another question we will have to answer. Where do they get their water from? Do they have
Hmm.
wells? Is there a river or a lake? Or that is something we will need to answer at some point.
It's good. I like that.
uh, Between two larger settlements, I will write food and ore. That's probably good. Let's see. I think they're supposed to be. Oops. Content. Show template for a specific. Oh yeah, here we go. Parent locations. We are going to add that later on. Founding
Cool, cool.
date.
Hmm.
We don't really have a proper like time.
I think that'd probably be something for later. I
Yeah,
feel like if we can work out like a lot of the main formative events of this world, then we can start to put together a
yeah,
timetable
exactly.
for dates and times. Yeah.
55 one month.
Woo.
That is a cool idea. It's going to the issue might be that like it's going to be very complicated later on.
I like what Salt said. We're getting a little Mad Max with this.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, especially with like, as it seems, with the wild and the scarcity of resources and stuff. It's really like, I think I get the feeling that it's going to be like every settlement has one resource that every other settlement needs, and it's going to be very like. That is really cool. Let's see. Population. What are we thinking? Like 40?
Yeah, sure.
We'll set 40 for now. Inhabitants,
Cool.
then we'll get back to that. Demographics.
It's a good question.
Definitely mercenaries is one of them. My name is supposed to read Simon the Sinner. Ah, yeah.
Very clever.
So mercenaries, I guess merchants.
Mm-hmm.
Logistics. Actually, that's more like income.
Okay, yeah.
Or logistics people, sure. All right. What kind of government does this hamlet have? The miners
Good.
could be drinking water from an underground river that can only be reached by walking down the mine shaft. Dangerous but necessary. That's cool.
That's a cool idea. I like that. In terms of government for Hamlet like this, do you feel like maybe it is sort of an unspoken agreement just between kind of the mercenaries and the traders? Like everybody has sort of a symbiotic thing going on, so it's just kind of understood that you don't fuck with it and make a power play.
Yeah.
And maybe be a point of tension later down the line.
Yeah, because I'm almost thinking like mutually assured destruction.
Precisely.
Where it's
Yep.
like if the merchants fuck the mercenaries over, then they'll
Have
just
fun dying.
turn they'll turn the rest stop into a blockade instead.
Mm-hmm.
And if the mercenaries fuck with the merchants, then they'll just
They
up
starve.
the price and they'll
Yep.
starve to death.
I love that.
I like that.
That's
I
really
like
cool.
that. We'll call it mutually assured. 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 That can't be how it's spelled. How do you spell assured?
I'll put it in the chat. There you go. Oops. Ignore the B.
Oh, that was right.
Yeah, you got it. Believe in yourself.
Destruction. Jesus Christ. Embarrassing myself on the internet. Yes, it is absolutely thinking in a different language. Actually, maybe not this one particularly. Infrastructure. I mean, the infrastructure's got to be pretty damn good, right? That's part of why it
It's
would be
lasted
so
this
popular.
long. Yep.
Or at least the roads would be good.
Mm-hmm. When I think of it, I almost see kind of like fortifications, fort walls, some cleared
absolutely.
land around it, and then like like merchant tents and pavilions and stuff within.
Maybe lots more traders, bigger tavern, because lots of people traveling through. Yeah, exactly. Could be as many visitors as population someday. I'm thinking sometimes probably even more than the people who live there. If you have water as a strong component for civilization development and survival, have sewers and insults related to stale water. Oh, swears and insults. Yeah. Oh, I like that.
That's cool. That's really unique.
Like, calling someone really stupid or something like that is calling someone stagnant. Oh, you stagnant peasant. I love it.
Oh, boy. That's good.
So they have excellent roads, fortified walls, great stables, and inns. I think they'll have more than one inn, actually.
Sure, yeah.
Probably two. More than that would probably be too much, but, like...
Sure.
That's actually
still water.
A kind of funny idea. You bucket of still water.
That's great.
That's actually kind of funny because you could have like a feud going on between the two inns, or like
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Competitive.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Assets. I mean, logistics, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's their main asset, right?
Yep. I think so, yeah. I think we've pretty much nailed down what they contribute and how they get by, so.
Yeah. Wow, there are a lot of these things that we already answered. Defenses, fortified walls with trained mercenary. Shop. Sure. Industry and trade, logistics, and protection. They logist, but they also protect. Weather magic is Stonks magic. Yeah. Who builds the walls? Who builds the roads? Yeah, that's a good point. I think the roads were built before the settlement. That's kind of like the reason that the settlement was built, because people were going along these roads, and most likely this would have to be, the location would have to be a very hospitable one.
Mm-hmm.
To have it be a good rest stop that then turned into a settlement.
Yep. I like that.
Yeah, probably guilds. Guilds and factions. Ooh. Now we're getting into the goody stuff. Tourism. No. Yeah, it's small town. So just pointed out, guilds. Probably. Having guilds gather and train people to let them work on projects that other factions commission of the construction guilds. Yeah, that could be cool. Because, like, in general, that could be a good next step anyway to create some guilds or some factions.
Do you feel like these guilds would be located within the settlement, or would the accumulated wealth between the merchants and the mercenaries outsource it to these cities and have them come in?
I kind of get the feeling that, like, the guilds aren't really here in this settlement per se. I mean, they obviously travel through and they visit and stuff, but I think they come from the larger settlements. Yeah. Having guilds. Oh, I already read that. The local merchants probably have lots of gold. Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever currency it'll be. Like mobsters. Yeah, almost. Because that's actually a good point. Like, should we considering the way that we're talking about this world, it almost feels like each settlement, like each city, let's call them cities, the bigger ones.
Mm-hmm.
It almost feels like each city is almost like its own country, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I sort of get vibes of like Athens versus Sparta. So kind of like the Greek cities being their own states that have their competitions, the wars. Yeah.
I kind of like that. So, and I think that there would be like guilds and factions that go across the different cities. But maybe some factions are particularly strong in one city, while they have some other representatives out in other cities or whatever. Because I think politically it's going to be very interesting to have this thin line you need to walk between every man for themselves and we need each other.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Let's see. Yep. Networks of guilds and factions let you form a hierarchy and a map of power to get a general feel of the range and strength of influence. They can also lock the trade route if the cities don't comply. Not only the merchants, therefore the mercenaries have established there. Bandits used to hold it before. That could be. Personally, I would like to twist it to bandits constantly try to take it over.
Mm-hmm.
Or something along those lines. Or maybe that's part of the history, so to speak, that
Sure.
It was a really good resting stop, but then bandits started setting up camp there to make like a blockade where they would tax outrageously high to let them buy without attacking or stealing or whatever. And mercenaries were hired to deal with the bandits, and the bandits had already started setting up camp and started building a little bit of fortification and stuff, and they were like, hey, why don't we make an outpost here? That could be cool.
That's good. I like that. This all feels like good fodder for like intro adventures too for a new campaign. Maybe like your whole first arc is like, oh shit, the bandits are back. Like they're gonna try to take out this outpost or take it over. We have to prevent that.
I like it. So in history, we'll write. Was rest trop. Srop. There we go. A good rest stop was.
Ooh, good ideas in the chat.
Maybe a few states are on speaking terms and ally against a particularly nasty lava troll invasion or something once in a while, while some others are basically enemies. Absolutely, I like that. Having, kind of like we talked about with Athens versus Sparta, that you have some towns that are deeply rooted allies and you have some that are bitter enemies. And even though they sometimes make trade agreements or sometimes the allied cities have a falling out, they still have like a deeply rooted one. Lava troll worshipping, I like them because they're hot.
I
a
like
good
Salt's
one.
comment about the Renaissance Italian families. I could totally see like
Mm-hmm.
equivalent of a Medici family in one of these big cities,
Oh
just
yeah.
like exerting
Oh
influence
yeah.
and shit. Yeah,
I love it. Already so many good ideas coming in.
yeah.
Was changed into blockade for bandits, but a band of
I love those ideas of like uneasy alliances too.
Mm-hmm.
I think just like taking it back to the Greek states and stuff. That's a great example. Like there's so much potential there just to sort of like drag and drop those pieces that you want. Like we may fight, we may squabble, but when Carthage or Rome comes to play, we better get our shit together and like work it out for the common good.
Yeah. Set up an outpost to protect caravans from future attacks. Something like that. Well, I think we'll get back to the guilds and factions later on. I think we kind of need to create those first. Tourism,
Sweet.
no. Architecture, ramshackle, maybe.
Yeah, maybe parts of it. Maybe good fortifications and sort of shanty towny when you get in on the inside.
Yeah. Fortified shantytown. We get what we mean.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Geography and natural resources. Also, lots of great stuff in chat. There should also be a tattoo parlor if it's in the D&D setting, since there are a lot of heat in the area. Kind of a resistance tattoo against the fire damage. Could be.
I like that.
Tattoo magic
I use
can
magic
be
tattoos in
connected
my
to the
world.
water magic I suggested before. Yeah. Is like the equivalent of Poseidon? Is that like one of the highest gods?
Oh, that'd be sick.
'Cause it's a god of
it would
water.
make sense. I'd worship him at that point.
Yeah, and like, because I can't really think of any other religions where the god of water and the sea or lakes or whatever is
Hmm.
considered a very high god.
Right.
Like usually it's the sun or the sky or whatever.
Yeah, precisely.
I like that. I like that.
This whole concept of water worship is just really cool to me.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot to do with that.
I should write down somewhere just a little note. Let's just put it in demographics.
Cool.
Worship. Just so I have it somewhere.
Hmm.
Ding. Okay, so what is the geography like? Don't be afraid of using temporary names that bluntly describe the
Yeah. Placeholder's good.
The god of water, Aqua. I kind of like using some form of aqua, so maybe like Aquea
Ooh.
or something like that.
Yeah. Little twist on the end. I like that.
So with the geography, with all this water worship, I don't believe anymore that it's a great idea. At first, I was thinking that like it's next to a lake or a river, because they would have a water supply that's really good. But in that case, it almost feels like if there was a good water supply, it should almost be a city of its own.
I feel like that'd be its own country at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Maybe they have like one well for groundwater.
I guess so, and maybe like because that stuff's also transported. Maybe the place. No, it's almost boring if the place that has the food also has the water. It would be the strongest one of them all.
Yep. exactly.
Are humans the main race, only race, or one of many, or something else? The main thing that I'm thinking of when I with that is that I want to try to make it as inclusive as possible for all different uh, what's it called, systems,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
whether it's D&D or Call of Cthulhu or whatever. So I think that I don't know. What do you think, Eli? Should we have like?
So my personal thoughts on the matter, and something that I always incorporate in my homebrew worlds, I sometimes will set like, here are the main races. Here's the ones you're going to see. Here's maybe the ones that have power. But I always leave wiggle room because I don't like to stifle my
Mm-hmm.
players' like character creation and stuff. And if we leave these big, wide open spaces where nobody really knows what's there on the map, there's always going to be enough wiggle room for someone to say, well, like in the
Yeah.
game that I'm playing right now, like Buddy wanted to be a turtle, so or a turtle. So yeah, sure. Somewhere out there, there is some kind of community or species or civilization of whatever crazy thing you came up with. Sure, just work it into your backstory. So I think maybe if it's important to us, if we lay out a few races that are most common and have the most power, sure. I think a lot of it can just be dynamic and left open to a lot of interpretation. Plus, like you said, the idea of being able to do this on multiple systems, yeah, the more wiggle room, the better. I think
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
constants and variables.
Yeah, I do agree. This works pretty well for world building ideas, but probably a good thing there aren't 50 people in chat. Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
I'll just start doing log files of the chat at that point.
Yeah.
Put it on paste.
Probably the way we will do it is that the more people that come into chats, obviously the less we're going to be able to read every single thing that's written.
Sure.
But we will, at the very least, we could always go back later on and look through everything so that your ideas won't be missed. But that is a far off issue, I think. I mean, I hope it's an issue soon, but we'll see. So basically, I'm thinking, like, as far as the geography goes, I think is it kind of plain lands, maybe?
It's a really good question. Maybe. So I think it might depend partially on how close to this big catastrophic fire or lava ocean. I feel like the further you get towards it, maybe the more fertile the soil is, like Salt pointed out, but the more dangerous it is because of the proximity to that. Maybe further out, it's more badlands. It's a little more wastelandy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would explain why these cities and these settlements are springing up in the places that they are. It could be the few places that actually have like livable resources close by.
Yeah, I do kind of like that. For your information down the line, I have something to help people know what is on the current session's to-do list. That sounds cool. Yeah. Drop me a message, August. Awesome, thanks. Yeah, I kind of like the like, maybe it's not a complete wasteland, but it's kind of like a grassland.
Yeah, totally.
With not much else, or are you thinking more like?
I like what you just said.
Okay.
So maybe like some sort of like rough, scrubby, maybe even like a warmer or more temperate tundra sort of land. So life is pretty sparse. Edible like plant life and stuff is pretty sparse. But the things that live there. Oh, really?
No, I'm just kidding. I see it like this. This settlement might be wedged between two cracks of the mountains, but that's your call. I mean, there would absolutely be a mountain for the mining one, right?
Hmm.
Or actually, technically, it doesn't have to be. It could also be a trench or just whatever. But
Would be cool though.
it
I
feels
almost
like it
see
should be
like
a mountain.
I see like what is it, Minas Tirith in Lord of the Rings? How it's
Yeah.
sort of like built up on that mountain in different tiers.
Oh, yes.
That's super
Yes.
cool.
Maybe it's been hewn out like terraces into the mountainside. Oh no. Okay, there we
That's
go.
so cool. Oh no! Did I offset the
Nope,
layout?
it's fine. Catching
Oh,
rainwater
good. Okay.
water could be a thing in most towns. Stealing water could be severely punished, and rain causes spontaneous acceleration. I like that.
Good culture, yeah.
Referring back to kind of like the thing we talked about before, that maybe like stealing water is punishable by exile.
Ooh, black market water. Holy shit!
Oh yeah.
God damn, that's awesome. Oh, dude, that's like a whole. That'd be so cool. It could be a pretty lucrative trade, but pretty high risk, high reward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah, I'll
Good
just
moral
write
dilemmas.
grassland for now.
Okay.
We can always come back.
Yeah.
And
I see some moral and ethical choices for PCs dealing with that too. Like it's the classic Jean Valjean. Like, should it be a crime for me to steal bread to feed my daughter?
Exactly. You could absolutely have them find like this orphaned kid who steals a jug of water
Oh, right in
and
the
is
feels.
and is caught, and the players have to choose whether they let the law take its course and exile the kid, or do they intervene and risk being
man.
exiled themselves. Or
That
there's
sounds like the beginning of an
lots
adventure.
of great stuff you can do there. In the local area, what can you build with? What can you eat? What can you get eaten or killed by? What can you worship in the local area? What
What can you seduce?
what can you seduce? Is this a bard asking?
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah, but this is a pretty good checklist to have.
Yeah.
I think as far as the get killed and eaten by, it's the monsters outside.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as what they eat, I think we kind of covered that they get like a cut of the produce. I don't think this place grows its own food.
Right.
Oh, Cape Satan. I try this once more.
Oh no.
A person that has knowledge of water magic is the person that keeps the town running. Yes,
I like that.
100%. I'm thinking almost even like a person who knows water magic. He would be like a high priest.
Oh, totally.
Easy.
Yeah.
So there could be like one of the cities, the city that deals in water. They have the high priest as the leader. They're basically a theocracy, where and that's where the water worship really comes into play. Even though they have an abundance of it, it's because they pray to Aqueia or Aqueus or whatever, and the high priest kind of like helps with the water and stuff. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. That's really good.
Also, if we miss the water pope, yes.
Yeah.
If we miss your messages, we're so sorry.
Just send them again.
Yeah.
We'll see 'em. It's a good point by Simon the Sinner.
Yeah. Purified food and magic, and create food and water are and
Might
have to be
ban those.
restricted. Yeah, probably. Either you can restrict it. I think that'll be a little bit like the DM's choice. Like,
Yeah.
maybe either you just leave it, and have that be something that the players can really like. But also you got to keep in mind that I think like after 24 hours or so, said water or food disappears or goes or spoils or something. I don't quite remember. Another way you could...
I'm sorry. Yeah, it would probably fall under that umbrella too of like, well, if you're going around creating water, you're breaking the law and you're upsetting sort of like the fabric of how things work in these cities. So if you do that somewhere where you're going to be seen, you're going to get reported.
Yeah, exactly. That,
that.
Like that's another way to limit it by having rules against it. The master of wetness,
God damn
the
it,
ruler of moistness, the sweat lord.
Get my band hammer. That's awesome.
Yeah, it does sound naughty.
There's our big bad right there, the sweat lord. Okay.
So with this in mind, what do we call it? Depending on how clean and pure the water is, the more expensive it is. Absolutely.
Yeah. The plebeians probably get like shitty water with sediment and all kinds of impurities and stuff in it.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Class struggle coming.
No.
Not sweat.
Absolutely not.
I'm thinking something outpost.
Yeah. Okay.
Or maybe this is not the water city.
Oh man.
Moist outpost.
Moist outpost. Oh man.
I can hear her laughing in the other room.
Yeah, do not Google image search moist outpost.
It doesn't have to be outposts.
Could be
water
fort something.
Purification tech can be vital to the growth of settlements. Yeah. That could be another interesting conflict. That could be that there are people working with that, but the Church of Aqueous,
yes,
is kind of like in the Renaissance, not the
yes,
Renaissance, just before
like the Dark Ages.
Yeah, like the Dark Ages, where religion is very against technology because it could render religion useless, quote unquote. This was fun.
Cool.
I added Egan on Facebook. Thank you. If you want some people to work on different things, I'm game. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Yeah, join for all of you. Join our Discord. We should probably add like a Discord thread for just ideas.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah. Especially as this sort of like grows and becomes more collaborative. I think that'd be great. Mm-hmm. I'm almost seeing, and maybe this is too on the nose, but I'm almost seeing a Galileo figure that could be an NPC in a campaign, right? So he's sort of on the verge of getting some of this water technology. He's doing his research, and then here come the Inquisitors from the Church of Aquea, and they're just like, no, shut that shit down. You can't make water. You know, like the gods give us water.
Yes.
Get out of here.
Okay. I've stolen a thing from a guy named Guy Slanders, where he makes placeholders by writing banana.
Like it.
Woo! Thank you for all the help. We will be going on for a while longer if you guys feel up for it. Either way, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
So how about we, just for now, we'll leave banana. Or should we find a name for it first?
I mean, we could do banana. I'm gonna be honest with you. Coming up with the actual names is probably like my biggest bane as a DM. Concepts, love it. When it comes down to names, I'm just like, I get too in my head.
Yeah, I usually try to go for like things that because that's what I've noticed, like out in the real world, here in Sweden, for instance. Like, I lately I've been paying extra attention whenever I pass like a sign with a place, and I noticed that usually it's a combination of two words that describes the area. Most most of the time, the description is geographical. Like Stockholm means, I can't think of the word holm in English. It's a geographical feature anyway, and stock is log.
Ah, okay. Learned something today.
And Gothenburg, where I'm from, was originally named Gottfridsborg. Gottfried was a person, and it was his keep. Borg means keep.
Oh.
So
that's
Gothenburg
cool.
is basically Gottfried's keep.
That's badass. I
like
like
a
that.
small island. Yeah. The same thing, Kungälv means King's River.
That's cool because we have a town in Oklahoma here called Stillwater, and it's because there was some stagnant water there. So
So that's usually what I try to go for. It's my cheap trick when coming up with names
That's a good one.
for places. I just kind of look at what's the geography like, or what's the main thing that stands out about this place. But let's go with banana for now. And
Sweet.
Save changes. Yes.
Dark.
Oh, it's saved. Cool. And we'll go back to the dashboard. So what do we... Bunch of Swedish towns. So, I feel like we've been touching quite a lot on, like, the whole water worshipping and stuff. So we could do a religion, or we could do a tradition, or we could do where is it? Guild or faction should be here somewhere. I don't see it right now. Organization. There it is.
I love doing religion stuff, so that's where my vote is.
All right. Now let's go for religion.
Sick. So do we feel like it's just again not to get too weird, but it's the real world. Is this sort of like a Holy Roman Empire Catholic Church, like a religious state kind of situation? Because some of the stuff we've described sort of with the like the water worship and maybe some of the darker side of that's happening, I almost feel like it's a post-apocalyptic version of like the Catholic Church during the Dark Ages, Renaissance, what have you.
Mm-hmm. I kind of like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So most likely, I'm thinking like, the other thing we need to answer here is this going to be a pantheon, kind of like the Greek or Roman gods or Egyptian gods or whatever, where there are, or Norse, where there are lots of different gods that everybody worships, but they worship different gods to different degrees. Like, you would worship Poseidon a lot more if you live on the coast than if you live in the middle of the country, for instance. Is it that type of thing, or is it where, like, this area has this religion, whereas this area has a different religion?
I almost see it as a mix between the two. So maybe in that city or that area where the Church of Aqueous, or whatever we're going to go with in the end for the name, maybe where their influence is strongest, they might tamp down those other ones and say, nah, this is where the power is. This is where your life comes from. You have to worship Aqueous. This is the core of everything. And maybe as you get further out from their influence, you start to see these other cultures and pantheons and these other traditions being more open and free.
Mm-hmm. Set up a mind map of gods and their relations to each other, maybe. That is a good idea.
Like it.
I'm not sure how we're going to do that on the screen, but we will try to figure out a way.
We could probably get the info and then compile it and make some sort of...
This kind of gave me an idea, for the record. What if the city or country or whatever we want to call it is called Aquea, after the god Aqueous?
Makes sense to me. I like that.
Drink the blood of a god or goddess to gain powers.
Oh, holy shit.
There's a lot of ways you can go with that. I think the god of water should be a woman. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
I mean, because most of the times they're men. Couldn't it be that that the mythology god becomes a god because the water worshippers are destroying the records of other from that mythology?
Very interesting.
That is very interesting, yeah. Because that once again brings us to the question, like, the Aqueans, let's call them that for now, do they still worship the other gods as well, just not as much? Or are they like, the other gods are wrong, we only need the water god?
Could there even be competing sects within the church who are vying for one or the other?
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Sort of
like, there could be like a
sort of
fringe, a radical fringe group within the church.
Damn. Yeah.
Almost like in the Da Vinci Code.
Yes. I like that.
Oh, we might need to refresh the Discord link. Create a new one.
That'd be something cool to come across in the campaign, too, because it may be that whether they're in this city or they travel to the city, whatever, maybe part of their campaign could be uncovering, like, oh, holy shit, like, there's this sort of, like, dark, behind-the-scenes, scary, like, cult sect within the greater structure of the church, and they're finding out that maybe, like, some of these leaders or some of these sort of behind-the-scenes players are all connected to this cult, and they're trying to do something awful. Like, I don't know, like, burn all the records, kill the heretics, you know, all that sort of stuff.
I'm gonna try.
I'd play in that campaign.
Yeah, it sounds.
But I'm
awesome.
a sucker for cults and shit, so.
The moderator. How do we do that again?
Oh no! It deleted Sarah.
Yeah. For posting the Discord link. No. We have to save her.
For the future, you could maybe put Nightbot on a timer so it just does it itself.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Getting back into it. So yeah, that absolutely works with having the fringe faction. It could even potentially be that I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but I'm getting an idea of
Go for it.
What if, like, just before the adventurers arrive there, there has been a shift. Like, there's been a new high priest. You could either go with the classic trope that the new high priest killed the old high priest to become one himself, or herself.
Mm-hmm.
or it could just be that, oh, this high priest died and the successor turns out to be a little bit more radical or something.
Sure.
In any case, the organization title we'll just write for now: Church of Craves.
What if
like
the
that,
successor
maybe?
is even like... What if the successor is sort of like a puppet or sort of a figurehead, while this sect that's working in the shadows is sort of like controlling things behind the scenes, right? So maybe that new water pope, for lack of a better word, maybe they're just a symbol, right? They don't have as much power as everybody thinks they do. They're just kind of like satiating everybody. Calm down, everything's fine. Don't believe what your eyes are seeing, believe what I tell you, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I like Cape Satan's idea here that the church can have several sects. It could be almost like an internal civil war between different factions who wants to run the church in different ways.
Yes.
And lots of like political tension and like political fighting from within.
I think that fits perfectly because thus far what we've kind of gone for is like, we're not going with the traditional like, here's a king, they were born to a rich family, they own, it's like a feudalism thing. It's like, okay, here's where the power is, here's where the power is concentrated, here's who controls the resources. But then you take those more familiar things of like, okay, well, in this power structure, it's not as though everybody is like a monk up on a mountain who legitimately believes all of this. There's going to be factions, there's going to be competing ideas, there's going to be like Game of Thrones power play shit going on.
Yeah,
I think that's extremely interesting.
Yeah,
I would want to know more about
like
that.
Mad Max meets Game of Thrones.
Ugh.
Almost.
That's awesome.
This is so dope. I can't wait to screw around in this world with a party.
I already want to DM a campaign here. And play in one, actually.
Maybe we'll make that happen. Like, if we make it like a goal that we will have a fully fledged world within a year, and like we said, like a year from now, we're going to start a campaign in this world or something.
Oh, that would be sick. I would love that. I'm going to take a quick break, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. We've been going for an hour and a half out of the 3 hours we're planning, so this is a perfect place to take a break.
Perfect.
So hang tight. We will be right back.
Woo! Okay.
And we are back. Hey guys. All right. Praise the water pope. May his moistness reign. Oh, may he reign. Hey, Cape Satan. I'm sorry. Oh, wait. There we go. I muted.
There we go.
So I don't think they could hear you. I think they
Oh, no.
can now.
Yay.
Okay. I think there's supposed to be a religion choice here.
There we go. Now I'm logged in.
Nope.
Did you send that invite already?
Military order. Political. This seems promising. Cult.
Yeah.
Religious. Organized religion? Sure.
There we go.
Okay. So I'm just going to write down the main seat in Quea. We'll figure out what that is later.
Perfect.
Motto, slogan, axiom. What if I thought about the road through the lava ocean? Could it be some kind of heavy rain that made it, and that's why people have given this god more power? He opens the door to the new world. That is certainly possible. I think like the thought process we were heading down was like, because water is going to be so scarce. Water is extremely sought after, and therefore those who have it become very powerful.
I just can't get over the idea of lava boats, because I'm just picturing straight up like shanties and freaking
Yes.
like manning like the sails or the motors or whatever it is to be. Yeah, I mean, just take like all of those lovable, amazing tropes about like whaling or like like going through the Arctic or whatever, breaking icebergs, but lava. That's
That
one of the coolest things I've ever heard.
Yeah. But it's a cool idea. Like
Totally.
any and all ideas that come in here are appreciated. Then whether we use it for this particular world or not, that's a different question, because it would be impossible to use every single idea because some of them would contradict each other and stuff. But part of the idea for this is also to share, because maybe someone else has gotten the idea now to have a lava area, and it could be that there has been raining down there or something. So every idea that comes in here is valuable.
If you like it, use it.
Exactly. And that's kind of the point of this world as well when we create it, that you don't have to take the entire world as it is. You could take bits and pieces that you like. I just had a thought for the motto or slogan or whatever. A little bit based off of the joke I made before. May it rain.
Ooh, that's good. I like that. It seems like less of a cheesy pun when you say "May
Right?
it rain" versus "May he rain."
Yeah.
I actually really like that.
Because it's basically just praying for rain.
It's to the point. It's practical, and it still sounds like flowery and religious at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm in
And
love
also a
with
bonus point that the DM can know that the cheesy joke was behind it.
that. Perfect.
I love those things. I have, in my world, I have multiple things that exist based off of a pun or a stupid joke that I wanted to do, and I just turned it into something a little bit more serious.
Perfect. I've got one coming up in a session or two too, so I feel you there, man.
I look forward to that.
We're gonna do a callback to that first one.
Alternative names to this religion. Rain Man.
What's our
Rain Man?
what's our primary name? What's like the official?
I don't quite know yet. I've put down Church of Aquarius for now.
Okay, yeah. Aquayanism. Um, come on, chat. What do you think?
In the meantime, the denonym
Banana.
should absolutely be Aquarians.
Mm-hmm.
Or Aquaists.
Aquaists?
Yeah.
I like that because maybe there could even be a distinction between the two. Because if the city is Aquia, everybody who lives there is an Aquayan.
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe the clergy and stuff, the actual
Are
practitioners,
Aquaists.
are the Aquaists. I like it.
That's a good founding date. We'll get back to that.
Yeah.
We don't really have a timeline. That's also a stream I had an idea for. I have a like Rome and the Vatican. Yeah, kind of. I have a game called Microscope, which is basically a world building game where you like take turns and make a history timeline and stuff.
That'd be really cool.
And I figured it could be cool to get a couple of DMs to join in and do this together.
Oh, yeah.
To kind of like build a history timeline of this world.
What's it called? Microscope?
Yeah.
That's super cool.
So yeah, we'll skip those two. Leader. Oh yeah, that for that we need to create a leader. Leader title. I still want to say Rain Man.
I know. Rain Man, Water Pope, it's all good.
That sounds fun. Yeah. I've tried it a little bit. We didn't quite have time to play it, to do that much with it at the time. But I've really been wanting to look into doing that properly at some point.
Tell me if this is too on the nose and cheesy, but what about that title for the Water Pope could be like High Precipitator or something? Because it sounds sort of like Romany and Latiny and official, and it's a play on precipitation. Is that stupid and cheesy though?
I like it.
I feel like it might be. Okay.
It might be a little bit, but I like it.
Thank you for your honesty.
Here in the what was it called? High
Precipitator.
I'm just gonna guess how that's spelled.
Put it in the chat.
Maybe?
That's how I saw it.
Almost.
Close enough.
I was considering putting a C there, but I was like, no, it's probably gonna be something.
That's one of those things I feel like where I'm like, oh, I had a great idea, and then I say it out loud, and I'm like,
Water Pope. In parentheses.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with Water Pope.
Oh my god, is that what like the opposition calls him? Maybe
Water
the
poop or
bridge is
Pacific
made
Ocean?
from salty tears.
Oh God, the tears of Aqueous.
Also, welcome back, Tom.
Yeah.
All right. Related ethnicities. I have no idea yet. We'll get back to that. Organization structure.
Okay. So competing sects. Water Pope is at the top, but maybe it's just sort of a figurehead. Maybe it's sort of a traditional thing, like kind of like the Emperor of Japan versus like the what was it, Hirohito, like Hirohito and Tojo. So maybe it's organized where you have like like your local parishioners and stuff on the ground level, and then you have the equivalent of your deacons, your cardinals, your
I'm
electors
kind of leaning
for the Pope and
towards
stuff.
like is it Catholic churches that has that, or is it
Mhm.
just
Yep.
Yeah.
Or maybe like most mainstream, the Catholic Church, but yeah.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I don't know too much about that myself, so I should probably read up on that a little bit, but
Okay.
I kind of like the basic idea of that structure. Also, Gecko wrote something really cool here. The tears of,
I like that,
of,
yeah.
of Aqueous could be like an apocalypse thing or a prophecy. I'm getting vibes, like you could just, again, most of D&D and world building and stuff is just ripping off other things.
Yes.
What about Noah's Ark?
Oh shit! That'd be
That's-
crazy.
The Tears of Aqueous is like the prophecy of a flood.
Oh my god. What if it is the second coming apocalypse? So first by fire and second by water. And then lo and
Yes.
behold, here's the Church of Aqueous controlling everything and worshiping this god. Oh man, there's so much to work with there.
I love it.
What if that,
I love it.
What if that shadowy cabal sort of sect within the church is even trying to usher in the prophecy
Yes.
of the Tears of Aqueous, and that's their end game? Shit!
Because
Yeah!
because, oh my god, because they want to literally wash the sin away.
Ah! That's awesome! Oh, that's perfect. Eureka!
Much needed to the world from their eyes. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
That's golden.
I'm going to write that down here in just the free text. Prophecy. No, that's not how it's spelled. There we go. No? Who cares? Of a...
That's like a whole campaign arc right there, dude.
Yeah.
Your save the world scenario. Holy shit.
Known as the Tears.
See, and now my lizard brain is even going like, okay, well, what if I know this is so out there, but like, so what if we have an additional setting where it's like, okay, so there's one where things go on, PCs prevent the thing. What if there's another setting where the doomsday of the Tears of Aqueous happens, and then guess what? Second apocalypse happens, and there's a whole new continuation where it's like, well, now it's like this, but there's water everywhere. There's like mountains made of coral. I don't know, man. That's really cool.
That's really cool. And because you could even have like a second world that is basically just like, instead of having like one mainland or something, it's a bunch of islands, because that's what's left after the flood.
Damn, that's cool. I like that.
Done.
Yeah.
This is really, really cool, because I also really like the idea that you can first portray like the high Precipiter. Jesus Christ.
Water Pope.
Yeah. You can portray him as like the main villain almost. Where it's like, oh, well, they have a full embargo on the water. He's the bad guy,
Yep.
blah, 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 blah. But then you discover as you're going along that there's something way more sinister that the Pope is in on. But then you discover the Pope is actually not in on it.
He's just
he
a
either
patsy
doesn't
the
know
whole
about
time.
it, or he's actively trying to stop it from within, or something. And
Ooh, that would be
becomes like
crazy.
there's so much you can work with.
Damn. I could even see a session where you have to save the Pope from assassination.
Hell yeah.
Oh god, that's so cool.
This feels like this could be like an entire Assassin's Creed game.
There it is. Yep. That's perfect.
All right. Culture. I'd play it. Awesome.
Yes.
Well, one thing we did establish about the culture is that insults include reference to stale water and drought, maybe.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally.
Oh, that could be drought. Could be like the standard word, like oh hell,
Draw.
because it also got that. It also has that sound, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of
The
that
sound
guttural
of a
sort
curse
of. Yeah.
word. It's like
Mhm.
drought. I wish I'd known that before I went and sold that to that guy, or you know, like, you stop the drought now. Maybe it doesn't work as well, but you know, it
What the
absolutely
drought
works.
is going on here? No,
Yeah.
I love that. That's really good.
Stealing / creating water is seen as a serious crime. Public agenda. What is their public agenda?
Keep the wheels moving. Keep people alive. Like we're
Yeah.
good. We're benevolent. You know, we're the mouthpiece of the gods. We make sure everyone has water.
Purify water, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe like maintain water
Mm-hmm.
supply. I'm guessing
And
the public agenda is what
coincidentally
they
maintain
say
water.
outward, so I'm thinking like maybe
Yeah.
maintaining water to supply to ensure
Just survival.
to
Just
ensure
continuation
no
of life.
monopoly. Which, ironically, to ensure no monopoly, they have a monopoly.
Coincidentally, one. I like that. It's the classic cult tactic, right? It's like
Yeah.
you have to work. You have to be a part of this. Because what are you going to do if you don't? You're going to die. I'm all you got.
Yeah. Now we get to the really hard question. What are their assets?
Your assets. Well, that's a really good question. So what
Let's think about
physically?
this.
Yeah. Well, I think water mages would be one.
Yeah, I just wrote water in all caps.
The water. Oh, hear me out. And
Yeah?
okay. What if they? Okay. What if outwardly they're saying like we commune with the gods, we get the water, but nobody sees the water being made. Nobody knows how the sausage is made, right? It's just the bishops go in and the water comes out. What if there is a huge secret well complete with like harvesting system, whether it's like buckets or some kind of pneumatics or something? They're hiding in maybe we'd mentioned previously a mountain. Maybe it's within the mountain. There is a huge underground reservoir. That's where they're getting the water. And they're saying, oh, yes, the gods provide it. Nobody's allowed in because if you saw how it was made, guess what? The plebs would want to get in there and get the damn water.
Yeah.
Class warfare. I like it. Yeah, kind of like Immortan Joe. Exactly.
That's really cool. I like that. And especially like
maybe
it'll be really fun to have the reveal that the water pope is a hoax.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
History.
And you know what? I don't think that would invalidate the idea that this god is real and this god will also destroy the world by water either. Because what if like the true worshippers and the true followers of Aqueous are that radical sect, and there's sort of a common understanding amongst the higher echelons of this cult that like, oh yeah, no, like we all know what we're doing, we're all in on the game, and then this radical group is just like, fuck you guys, like y'all are heretics, the true worshippers.
I was thinking along those lines, Gecko, about having enslaved water mages.
That's good.
It could either be like they have enslaved water mages, or it could also be like the water pope does actually have the magical ability to create water, but in the event of something happening, they've continued creating water into a reservoir, kind of as a backup.
I like it.
And now this pope comes along who doesn't have that power. So he's just using the reservoir.
And they're covering it up because if people knew that the pope couldn't create water, it would be chaos.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. It's a whole conspiracy.
And that could actually even lead to having enslaved water mages, because he can't create it himself. Yeah. Sooner or later he's going to run out, so he's going to want to find these people who are creating water for the black market and basically kidnap them and enslave them. And that could be a really cool consequence if a player is caught creating water.
Yes.
Like that player could be apprehended and sent to the water plant or whatever.
That's good. What if it even initially started out benevolent? Like, nobody was really, like, fucking around doing evil shit in the beginning. It's just, like, it kind of arose out of necessity. Like, well, here we are in this crazy world, and things would go to shit if people knew about this. So let's do a minor evil for the greater good. And then it just, like, corrupts and evolves into this whole thing over time. Oh, this is so cool.
I love it. It goes back to one of my favorite expressions: the road to hell is paved with good intention.
With good intentions. Yep.
It's one of my favorite expressions, especially when it comes to world building, writing, acting, anything like that, because that's my favorite way of thinking about villains. That every villain has good intentions.
It humanizes them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happens to those who are called like outlaws? Yeah, so it could even be like they are actually exiled, but the people who create water, they claim that they exiled them, but then they pick them up once they've been exiled. That's almost better than just being directly taken, because that gives the party like a fighting chance that like.
Yep.
Because often the whole arresting people and taking them to jail tends to end pretty badly in my experience, because most of the time the players aren't that willing. They steal technology regarding water creation and purification and use it themselves to make even more water. That's also a really good possibility, especially if you have the Galileo type thing that we talked about before, where they were like, we're taking this and destroying it, but in actuality, they, because they bring it down, but they don't know how to use it, and it's not entirely finished yet. So they need to figure out how to fix it and use it. That gives them something that they want.
This is like, I feel like this is the breadcrumbs to the players also realizing, like, holy shit, there's so much more than we knew going on. Because what if they befriend that NPC? What if that's someone that they've spent a little bit of time with? Shit, they caught him. He's getting exiled. And the party's like, okay, we're going to go find him. He's exiled. It's no big deal. We're going to do something to help him. And lo and behold, he's not there. They can't find him. Something else is going on. And then that's sort of like the first thing that leads them on the trail to tracking down where he went.
Yeah, I that's so cool. And I also like the idea of having, you can have lots of, like, people in the church who legitimately mean well. They don't realize themselves what's going on.
Yep, totally.
I feel like history, I feel like I kind of want to come back to that later, because I almost want to do that microscope thing first, because I feel like something as big and important as the Church of Aquarius almost needs to be part of the world history.
Yes. Yeah, there's got to be a reason they're so powerful and so much revolves around them. Man, I keep thinking, like, I'd love to see a PC who's playing, like, a cleric or possibly a paladin, and they worship Aquarius. They're like on the lowest rungs of the Church of Aquarius, and like their whole character development is just like, no, like my whole life is a lie. This is bullshit. That'd be compelling.
Yeah. I'm gonna save this for now.
Cool.
And we can move on to something. Did I save it? There we go. Yes. Okay. What else is a good thing to do just in order to get the ball rolling here? We talked a little bit in the break, and probably the way we're going to do this is that today we are doing a little bit of everything, but for the future streams we will have a little bit more focus on what we're doing said week. Like maybe 1 week we will focus on creating countries, 1 week we will focus on creating organizations, and so on and so forth. Because as much as I love brainstorming about all of these things, you get lots of ideas. I feel like the danger in that is that you can very easily get sidetracked, or at least I can. I get sidetracked very easily and wrapped up in all these cool ideas and stuff, because they really are cool ideas. World builder syndrome, yeah.
Yep.
No kidding. So what do you feel like we need more to get the ball rolling here?
Well, I think it wouldn't hurt to maybe revisit the idea of common species and races in the civilized areas. I don't know necessarily. I like the idea of this power being concentrated not based on a species, and not necessarily based on like a race of individuals or something, but more so on like the status and the power and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that even makes it more insidious if it's not even something as easily explained as like, oh, the sea elves, they like water, they're doing water things. Yeah. It's just like, no, it's deeper and darker than that. But maybe based on where where these cities are located and their proximity to some of the landmarks that we're going to put in the world. And I know the only one we really have right now is the lava. one thought that I had is, okay, so maybe there's this idea that out by the lava, so we know the lava's a wasteland, and
Mm-hmm.
there's maybe some groups that are saying there's nothing out there, it's blah, and there's others going, well, maybe we should explore. We don't know that, we've never been there. Maybe there's this common idea that on sort of the banks of the Sea of Lava and stuff, and towards the Sea of Lava, it is monsters, and it's just evil and all the bad stuff. Maybe there are some smaller, more tribal, more rural civilizations that actually do exist out there. Not that there aren't monsters. I like the idea of still it being a very dangerous area. But what if there's some sort of race of like, I don't know if it would be like fire genasi, or if it would be some sort of homebrew race where it's like, maybe they have features and just like body parts and stuff that have really adapted to that. Some sort of like ash people, maybe, or like similar to like rock golems, but more sentient and self-aware and stuff.
Yeah, I actually,
yeah.
if I may, I just have to
Go for
bounce this off. What if kind of like the idea is that the world wasn't split in twain.
Mm-hmm.
Half of the world was devoured by hell.
Mm-hmm.
So beyond, like, a lot of people thinks that beyond that lava bank is hell.
I see where you're going.
And there are some people, I just like the idea of, you know, like with Christopher Columbus and the world being flat, and that whole thing, with this one crazy guy who has decided that, no, I'm going to see what's on the other side.
And there's your second campaign.
Yeah, and that you can even create a second world.
Yep.
Because obviously, if it's just a crack down the middle, that wouldn't necessarily mean that the other side was necessarily even destroyed. Maybe it's even like a modern world. Probably not.
Oh God!
Then they would probably just, you know, come over anyway,
right,
and stuff like that. But you could have like a pseudo modern world, where like like in my world, in my campaign, I have one country which is very heavily based on Magitech.
Okay.
So they have like trains and shit, but it's based off of crystal power and stuff.
That's sick.
So you could absolutely do something like that, or, you know, but bottom line, I guess, the thought that popped into my head was the fact that it's just been cut off. No one's seen, most people haven't even seen the cut, but those who haven't seen what's on the other side. So, especially if there are a bunch of lava monsters and stuff, the first picture you get in your head is hell. Full of fire and lava and death and pain and suffering.
That's so good. That's so good. And what if even sort of the explanation, or part of the explanation for that, is like this, I don't know if you'd call it a hemisphere, this side of the lava crack, this side probably fared a lot worse, and that side may have ended up with a lot more of the surviving resources and stuff. So maybe the reason things are so dire over here is just like, that's the way it shook out. We got split up, and this side had way less to work with.
Yeah, I was literally just thinking the same thing, Cave Satan. That, well, sort of the same thing. What if the belief is that the god of fire devoured half the world? And that could be why the god of water has risen up, because the god of water stopped him. It made sure that he could... I can like see the creation story in front of me where the god of fire was hungry, so he decided to devour the world, but the god of water stopped him before he could get all the way through. He only managed to eat half of the world, or something like that. And so around there, the fire god is seen as bad, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
And I even like that, absolute, like we talked about before, where we have some cities that are inherently enemies. It could absolutely be a city that worships the fire god, because like, well, the fire god is also necessary because we need the sun.
Yep.
Or whatever, like, and they are in a religious war, basically.
Wow. That's crazy. I like that.
That's really cool. I legitimately like that.
I like the idea too of if this other side of the world that's so technologically advanced, my first question would be like, okay, well, whatever's happening on this side, why would that matter if they're so far advanced? But number one, what if they may even have progressed to a point, and tell me if this is too far, they may have progressed to a point where it's like, well, we're doing so well and we're doing so much ourselves, apart from these really like pious, diligent, like high fervor groups within the side, maybe the common man over there doesn't really think about the gods too much. It's not a big deal. We've moved on. Things are fine. And yet this cabal and this stuff is happening on the other side of the world. It's not only going to threaten that side, but also this one as well. So there may be this give and take of like, well, things are shitty over here, but also like this is where potential catastrophe is going to need to be prevented. So I don't know, maybe there's sort of a balance, and PCs from either side of the divide would have like reason and challenges and all kinds of stuff for crossing to the other.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
No,
that's too big.
I really like that. And like when it comes to the technological side or whatever, like it could be that they could theoretically go there, but they don't want to do it until they're sure that they can. It's kind of like, theoretically, we could go to Mars. We just sent a rover to Mars. We could go there, but will we survive going there? Probably not, but who knows?
Yep.
Like, maybe it's something like that, going to the other side is kind of like going to the moon or going to Mars. It's something that theoretically could be done. And you could even have that as a plot point at some point if you are on the side we're working on now, where suddenly this weird thing comes crashing down from the sky and this person comes out and goes, what the fuck? Like basically the aliens, cool. the ET story, but there's
man, that's so cool. I could almost even see it going right along with that. Like, have you ever seen the movie Interstellar?
Wait, I recognize a name. I can't remember how
it was a Chris Nolan movie. So kind of the general idea is that same thing of like, theoretically, we could go to Mars. We could try to colonize other planets. We could do that. But there's so many things on Earth that are preventing that from happening. And there's a lot of crosstalk between like, is this worth it? Can we do this? Should we do this? Also, we've got a million problems here that we've actually created ourselves. So maybe this other side of the divide is plagued by some of the same issues that we would see in our world, such as like, well, we started off really good. Started off in terms of like, we've built something that really worked for a while, but now we've gotten a little bit of hubris and we're kind of going a little too hard in the paint with all the things we're trying to do and not considering the implications. So there's your incentive to colonize another world, but there could be these groups and these factions and these sentiments that are also keeping that from happening. Like, why would we do that? Why don't we solve the problems here? And maybe that could be sort of the strife of this other side that has prevented them, even though they're so much more advanced, from being the ones to cross that sea of lava first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that thought. Kind of like, because it almost feels like we are doing the split there. Sorry, just gonna see. Couldn't the believers of the fire god have knowledge of solar power of some sort? Yes.
That's cool. Cool. I like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Solar panels, but crystals.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Huh. There's definitely something we can do with that. I like that.
Magic solar panels is just, it's the coolest thing that I never thought of, but
Yeah.
now I'm not going to stop thinking about.
Right? But like, shit. What was I saying? Never mind.
No.
It'll come back. It'll come back.
Okay.
Oh yeah. See? Already back.
There we go.
It seems like we're doing the split of like one half being more magical, and the other half being more technological, which I like personally. It's something I've done before, and it's for a reason, because I like that split. Often having them being pretty much at the same level in one way, but having different ways of doing it.
Yep.
Like,
Totally.
say that if we use the train example, one side has a train powered by crystals, the other side has a platform that a wizard is casting levitate on, and I was thinking of the civilization that was in a good spot, but it went to hell, literally. Yeah. Absolutely.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. So, what we have so far is a world that's been half devoured.
Mm-hmm.
We still don't know ourselves what caused it in reality. We could actually have it be like a titanic battle between gods or something.
Ooh,
that could be one reason. It could also be our own doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like Elturel and Descent to Avernus, huh? Yeah, a little bit, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's awesome.
We don't really know what caused that gash, but basically both sides of the world thinks that the other side is gone or uninhabitable in one way or another. The more primitive magical side thinking that the other side of the world is literally just hell, whereas the technologically progressed half thinks that there might be people there, but we have to get there somehow.
Right.
Kind of a deal. But for now, I think the best part is to focus on the magical half, or so to speak.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the other half at a later point.
I love how that gives you the tools to create a second world without actually creating a second world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just imagine running a campaign and like doing it with running a few campaigns, doing it with the same players. So it's like, okay, we're doing it here. Cool. Ran this whole campaign. It was awesome. We do a second campaign. It's on the other side of the world, but they don't realize it's the same. And then lo and behold, Sea of Lava, that sounds familiar. They cross it, and then holy cow, the campaigns have sort of like crossed over. Cool idea, I think.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. I'm thinking either we can explore the cut, the scar, the mark, whatever we want to call it, the lava thing.
Banana.
The lava banana. Balava.
The Balava.
Or we could have some kind of myth or legend. Could also be something cool. We could create like the city of Aquia.
Mm-hmm.
We could create a different city entirely. We could there's a couple of things we could do here.
Yeah.
What does chat feel like? What do we want to explore?
On that note, too, do you think Aquia would be one of the 2 cities that we mentioned previously? Or is Aquia somewhere else?
Oh, that's a good point. What if Aquia is this, rather than the city that had the food and stuff, it could be the city that has the water.
Yeah. Everybody's going to be relying on them, so.
More about the fire god and the scar. Yeah, that sounds cool.
Perfect.
Okay, so which one do we start with? Fire god or scar? Fire god or scar? Jesus. No, not Jesus. Fire god.
Open to interpretation. Well, if the water god is Aquia, or Aqueous, or Aquayan, I can't remember. Aqueous?
Aqueous. Yes.
Aqueous, okay, perfect. Would we want to go with sort of the same naming tradition on this one?
Should it be like Igni, something Igni, or something Pyro, or something like that?
I shit you not, I'm going to say Igni. Yeah.
I was about to combine the two, but that would be Pygny.
You could go something like with Igni as the base, or something to do with like the base word of like solar or something like that, and sort of branch out from there. It's another one. Yeah, Pyro, you mentioned that one. I think those all could be good. Pygmy. Oh god. Solus.
Yeah.
That could work, yeah.
The one thing I'm thinking of is it depends on how original you want to be, because there are so many different gods, especially in like D&D and stuff, where it's like Sol, Soleni, Solus,
I have
Solar.
the soul in my homebrew world, yeah.
But on the other hand, I think there's a reason for that, and that's because that's the type of name that would make the most sense.
Yeah, it's cool, it works, it sounds cool.
So maybe we just go with that.
Maybe it could even be a placeholder, and then if anything better comes up, we can just revisit it at that point. I think it's a good working title.
Sonne. No.
Sonne? What is Sonne?
That's sun in German.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
I think so, at least.
Sonne.
Church of Solus sounds wrong. I mean, we could name it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I'll put it in for now, and we can change it.
Sometimes I'll just throw out like synonyms and stuff, because I'm like, well, Church of Aqueous sounds cool. I like that.
Yeah.
It rolls off the tongue. And I definitely wouldn't want to go as simple as like Church of Aqueous, Church of whoever, Church of the other, Church of X. So maybe like
definitely
Temple of something, or Followers of something, or I don't know. Sometimes I just throw out like alternate words and just kind of like, so literally I'll write them down sometimes and just like draw lines and find the combo that sounds the coolest, and then go with that.
This sounds. I had a thought which I think could be Followers of Zol.
Followers of Zol? That sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, because I did have the Sons of Solus or Sons of Zol, but that sounds more like a cult than a religion, right?
Potentially, yeah. Maybe there's maybe the Followers of Zol are kind of like the cabal that we talked about in the other one. Maybe that's a sect of like the sun worshippers. Maybe the water worshippers. They have their big like, well, it's many parts that form this one hierarchy. Maybe the followers of the sun god are actually different ones that all have their own flavors, and they don't play as nicely necessarily as the other ones do. Which would kind of make sense, since things have sort of worked out better over there. There's not as much of a need to come together. You can afford to be more independent and individualistic over there. I'm attached to the name Followers of Zol. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I like that.
Sounds
too.
sick.
The only question I have now: Are we talking about like the other side where they're more technologically advanced? That's where they have.
Oh shit! That's what I was thinking. Would people even worship the fire god on this side of the divide?
I'm almost leaning towards that they are more agnostic,
or
something on the technological side.
I like that.
Because then you have one side that is religious. You can play around a lot with religion, and then you have one side where religion is not necessarily a very big thing, and theoretically they've even, if we're talking 5e specifically, they've worked in that you can be a cleric without having a god. You could have a philosophy instead, or something. So
maybe that could even be the potential downfall of that side of the divide, because whereas this side is more primitive and they're more violent and stuff, the other ones, well, I mean, gods exist in this world. Gods are kind of the science of a lot of D&D worlds, and maybe they have just like moved on and they're ignoring what actually happened. That'd be cool. Maybe the followers of Zol are, because when I'm thinking in terms of at least, not necessarily the whole side, but the sphere of influence that the Church of Aqueous exists in, maybe the followers of Zol are a cult, and maybe the reason that they're a cult is just they've been branded that way by the church. Maybe they're just worshiping their god. Maybe they just want to like grow their crops and do stuff like that. But this followers of Zol is an underground group by necessity, because they're literally going to be like crucified or some shit if they're found worshiping this sun god in an area where the sun god is blamed for everything that happened to the world.
Yeah. Zolism, absolutely the denonym.
That's awesome. Zolism? Yeah.
Oh, wait, a Zolist is the denonym. It should probably just be Zolism.
Zolism? That sounds cool. Rolls off the tongue. Like it.
Kind of like a Christian, or, you know, Christianity, and you're a Christian. It's kind of the same thing with, or Judaism, being Jewish. It's
right.
Also, I agree with Gecko that the name The Divide is really good for the lava thing. The one thing I would add is I think that's what the technological side calls it, whereas the non-technological side calls it like Hell's End or Hellmouth or
Hellmouth? That's awesome.
You
could see that.
Yeah. Although I won't be able to say Hellmouth without thinking of Buffy, the Vampire Slayer. Or Hell's Bite.
That's fine, because I can't hear Zol without thinking of Zool from Ghostbusters. There is no data, only Zol. I like Hellbite. That's pretty cool. That sounds like a metal band.
Yeah, it does.
The Hellbite. Ooh,
awesome.
That flows.
Okay, so we have Zolism. What's their motto?
Good question.
So the Aqueous had May It Rain.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it would help to think about, is there a central hub of Zolism, or is it mostly scattered and underground across the continent? Because it may look different in different places, but is there a sort of a mecca of Zolism?
I feel like there should be almost.
Yeah, because that's going to impact.
Be portrayed as like it's almost like Mordor, or something.
But the bad guys over there. Yep.
But what if Mordor wasn't necessarily evil, just different?
Precisely. Maybe this is giving too much to the Church of Aqueous, but what if Zolism is by the Hellbite, or what if it's on one of those islands that we talked about? And what if the idea that the Hellbite is nothing but death and lava is a lie that the Church of Aqueous has put out?
Mm-hmm. That is kind of what I was thinking.
I'm into it then. Would the followers of Zolism then be races that are more suited to survive in those hot climates? Would it be less of it? Well, not less of it, but would it also have the added component of being maybe... Oh, shit. Okay, think about this. What if back when all of this happened initially, because what I'm hearing right now is the Church of Aqueous is kind of like the dominant authority in most of this continent, from what it sounds like. What if there were, and it's a little bit dark, but that's history. What if there were like pogroms and like some sort of like ethnic war or ethnic cleansing that happened after the catastrophe because they blamed all of these fire races, all of these hot athletes.
Yes.
They had to retreat to a place where they could survive, and now it's like, don't go there, it's evil, it's bad. But somebody in the church knows, or maybe they're all deluded at this point because the lie has lasted so long, that there's nothing but lava out there. And turns out there's a whole other like cluster of civilizations that exist. Oh shit!
I absolutely love that, because
that's dope.
I just want to point out that at least in my head, the Divide, or Hell's Bite, is in the middle of an ocean almost.
Mm-hmm.
So there is water between, like, there's ocean between Zartheria and Hell's Bite, and like maybe there are a couple of islands off the coast of Zartheria, or if they're just on the coast of Zartheria, and that's where they are. I'm kind of liking the island idea that
I do too.
mentioned before, where like there are a couple of islands, and so basically they have almost like their own little life there. And just as Small Town Salt pointed out before, with the volcanic soil being very fertile, they've had no issues whatsoever.
Thrived,
They've thrived, but they haven't been able to expand because they're basically not really welcome.
Yep, and there's your balance. I love it.
So outside of these islands, there are communities of Solists that live hidden a little bit here and there. Some more hidden, some less hidden, because that's also something that we can start taking into consideration when we make cities, when we make hamlets and stuff, villages. What is their opinion on, for instance, Solists?
Right.
Or what are their opinions on Aqueans?
Perfect.
I like it. Should their motto be something like "From the Ashes"?
From the ashes? That's awesome. Yes. It's descriptive. It fits the theme.
From the
I think
ashes.
you're dead on with that.
Should it be something more than that, or is it just from the ashes? Hey, B-Chip.
I think that's a good working version, and then if we think of something better, we can always edit it. But if we had to run with that, I'd be okay with using that.
Awesome. Okay, alternative names. There has to be an alternative name. There has to be a... Yeah, I was kind of thinking From the Ashes We Grow, or something similar. That's awesome. I like that.
They could be a little more altruistic than the Church of Aqueous. It's more legitimately like...
What I really like about it is that it has a double meaning.
Mm-hmm.
It could either be From the Ashes We Grow, like we sow in the ashes and things grow, or we've been almost decimated, but we will come back.
Totally.
If you want a little bit more sinister twist to it. So I like it. But basically with alternative names, I'm thinking we'd almost want some kind of name that is like almost offensive.
Sure. Yeah, because they would have pejoratives for each other, the two sides.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to go as far as having like the equivalent of the N word.
No. Yeah, no.
That feels like too far, but something
Sure.
that like, like mudbloods
Precisely. Yeah.
is a good example. Or there could be a lot of people who believe in it, but not as much, and then you have people who are more aggressive. Yeah, exactly. I think that's going to be true for like more or less every religion that we have here. That's I feel like pretty much every religion should have a more radical or aggressive fringe to it.
Yeah, and for Zolism, I think that carries over so nicely based on what you said, because you could have the ones who are more concerned about like, yeah, let's grow crops, let's like make sure people are fed, and then there could be the ones who are not necessarily, I like moral gray areas, right? So they're not necessarily like, we're gonna kill everybody, but more like,
Yeah.
hey, we were done dirty, and we're gonna get ours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're coming back. We're gonna kick ass. I like it.
That's cool.
I'm trying to think of a name that the Aquarians would refer to them as. Something
Flames?
something patronizing. Flames? Maybe.
Or
Maybe a little bit too common.
Or something like that. Like
Edinburghs?
fire but small.
Oh, embers. Oh, okay.
Dryers. I like that.
Dryers? Okay, yeah. Yeah, because draught
Feeder.
is already a thing that we've established already.
Yeah,
so dryers
we've
and
already
draught go
established
hand
that
in hand.
draught and dry and stuff like that is an insult.
Yeah.
And, I mean, fire dries things. Or, like, heat dries. So, I like dryers.
That's good.
All right, within parentheses, offensive. Awesome.
Would it be too cheese for the Zolists maybe to have a pejorative of drowners for the Aquaians? I don't know if it's too cheesy to have them both be kind of like sound similar.
Yeah, I'm trying to like compare to like real world stuff or other fiction,
Sure.
such as like mudbloods don't really have names for pure bloods in that sense.
Sure, fair, yeah.
And same thing
Because the
for
power
Jewish
dynamic is
people,
definitely
didn't really have like a name for
Yeah.
Nazis or things like that. So I don't think so.
sure. I think you're dead on because the power is flowing from the Aquaian side outward. They're the ones who kind of got the better of it and were the ones who were hostile in the first place. Yeah, I think you're dead on with that.
I mean,
Maybe
there
some
might
of the
be
more
some
radical
fringe,
parts.
like some radical
Yeah.
people who would come up with names like that.
Maybe there's ones, maybe some of the monsters that are coming out and like hitting the countryside and stuff. It could be raiders from one of these more maybe fanatical, maybe just like maybe the ones that are more concerned about like growing their territory and getting revenge. Yeah, maybe there could be elements on that part of society that would refer to them as drowners, and they're the more like hot-headed ones who would do that kind of stuff. Interesting.
They are definitely the ones that refer to the high precipitator as wet pope.
That's the wet pope. The cardinal of moistness.
Would that be a name for the head of the Zoleni? The crimson cardinal.
The Crimson Cardinal? That sounds cool. I can see
Although
that.
that sounds more like a vigilante name.
It does. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now that you mention it, sounds like the Scarlet Pimpernel. Do you think the Zolists would be as focused on the religious aspect as the Aquaians? Would it be
Probably not in
either
structure.
or? Would it be more state? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that. Maybe they're not as. Maybe they're not as structured per se. Doesn't mean that they're like
Yeah.
savages or something like that. But
No.
I think that it's more a question of like for Aquaians, the hierarchy is very important.
Yes.
Whereas, what if like the Soleni have say 4 islands, for instance, and each island has one leader, and the leader meets on a 5th island for a summit, or there could be like 5 islands, and one of the islands is like a central island where the 5 leaders of each island meet for a summit or whatever.
So it's more about communities who will send their leaders to get together with a moot, and that will sort of determine like the course that they as a big picture people will take.
Cape Satan, that sounds awesome. Couldn't it be a gathering once a year in front of the solar panel crystal? Yes.
Yeah. That's cool. I can see that.
And that's really cool because it could also be like, like midsummer. Especially like here in Sweden, in northern Sweden, at midsummer, the sun doesn't set at all.
Mm.
The sun just goes like a lap around the sky.
Wow.
Not down here where we live. Here we have like, I think the sun sets at like 1 a.m. or something and rises at like 2 or 3 a.m. So we have like 1 or 2 hours of darkness on midsummer. But what if it's something like that? That the day when the sun is out the longest, that's the day for the summit.
That's perfect. Yep.
That's super cool. I'm going to write that down under culture. No, actually, under organization structure. 5 leaders. 1 from each island. Meet in a summit once per year. And the sun is at its peak. Parentheses. Just so I know what I'm talking about.
Do you think the Aquaians would also experience this kind of celestial phenomenon with the sun, and would that be sort of a day that has an opposite connotation on their side?
Absolutely.
Like, this is a day when we gather within our cathedrals and get really religious and like pump up that anti-sun fervor.
That could be a holiday called Day of the Drought.
There it is. I love it. Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Awesome. Oh, this is so fucking cool.
Dude, we've done so much.
This is
Holy
already
shit.
cooler than my world that I'm running my campaign in. And I like my world.
I know. I want to do a campaign here tomorrow.
Okay, culture, public agenda. Like, I feel like the public agenda would be basically just restoration. Mm-hmm. If you see what I mean, like,
yep,
they've been practically decimated. They need to rally and restore some sense of normalcy, and like,
that's perfect. And that totally sets up those different, maybe even the different islands or the different leaders of the islands to debate about what restoration means. Does it mean finding more efficient ways to grow crops, or does it mean invading the coastline and pushing into Aquaian lands?
Or just like fortifying the islands. I could absolutely see one of them being like, we have to make sure because sooner or later the drowners are going to come here.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. I love that.
I'll write within parentheses, used to be energy provider. Guidance. There we go. Assets. Oops. Lush soil for crops.
Maybe this crystal provides some sort of power too.
I'll write within quotation marks, electricity. So maybe like the crystal with the solar power acts kind of like it's not electricity, but it acts kind of the same way.
Yeah.
So they could actually be the closest to being the technologically advanced side.
Sure. I could see them working with like.
Yeah, I think that some cultures use some kind of lamps in their towns instead of torches. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, pretty much like they will. That could be one of the things they pride themselves in, that they have sunlight even during the night if they want.
There you go. I could even see like D&D version of some early agricultural devices, maybe sort of a primitive combine powered by magic, some more efficient ways to harvest their crops and stuff.
Yeah. And again, same thing with history here. I think that needs to be saved for the microscope episode.
Totally. Oh yeah, for when that came about, yeah, completely agree. That'd be sick. Maybe there's strife on the islands between, like, maybe there's an island or two islands that are they're doing things a certain way, or they are implementing certain things that take more of that power, and maybe there's a finite amount of that energy, and the islands are maybe starting to compete as they grow larger for that finite resource.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Let's see. So I think we have all the things in that sense here.
Cool.
It's potentially if we want to start working on like the wet pulp or the fire equivalent. The one thing to bear in mind is we do only have 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
So the question is... Yeah, I was just thinking about, like... I don't know if it's a good idea to start something new now.
Maybe
it feels
we can
bad
revisit
ending it early, but I almost think that potentially, we could just spawn in general together with chat.
Yeah.
Just brainstorm literally anything.
I'm good with that.
Let's do that. We will
tweet.
Wink.
What were some names that we were still needing? Maybe we could throw it out and be like, "Hey, brainstorm sesh for these."
Oh yeah. We have the outpost.
Ooh, yeah.
We don't have a name for that yet. I just gotta remember where I find it. World, maybe.
Maybe there's some sort of historical event or fabricated or lightly fabricated historical event, some kind of folk hero or hero of the faith that it could be named after.
Ooh. That sounds cool. It should probably be one of the mercenaries then, right?
Because they're the ones that founded it, not the church. Yeah, completely. I could see that.
It could potentially even be named after, like, you know how we talked about that there was going to be, like, a guards captain?
Yeah.
Leader of the mercenaries? What if it was named after him?
Sure, yeah.
Like, names outpost.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. It's like a possessive, yeah. I could see that.
So what's a good mercenary name?
maybe we should think a little bit more about the guy then. If he's so important that he founded this, how old is he? If it's named after him. Leif. Is he a race that would live longer? Could he have been there from the very beginning?
Well,
Maybe.
I guess like from what I've understood, this hamlet, this outpost is a couple years old tops.
Couple years. Okay, perfect then. Yeah.
Like
Cool.
that's kind of like why it's kind of a shanty town, ramshackle kind of thing, because in time it will become like a proper.
Right. I like it. Okay. Bringing it back to one.
Okay.
Is he kind of old grizzled sort of dude? Is he like maybe he did sell
Spontaneously,
swords?
that's what I see.
Okay.
I see
Sure.
in front of me. I see a person. It could be a man or a woman, who has like hideous scars, especially like one large gash across the eye, blind in one eye.
Nice.
I kind of like the idea of a woman.
I love
This
that.
Brienne of
Love
Tarth
that.
kind of woman.
Yes.
But with lots and lots of like, if Brienne of Tarth and the Hound had a baby, basically.
I see exactly what you're talking about.
It's like, she ain't pretty, but she commands a lot of respect.
Yeah, totally. That's way cooler. I love that. Would be a good name. It's got to be kind of gravelly. It's got to carry weight.
I kind of like Bryn.
Bryn? I can see that. Bryn's
Brynn.
There you go. Yeah. Bald because of
We're
the Bryn.
not going to go that far. But I'm imagining she has like scratch marks, cuts. You know, like she's been fighting wilderness. She's been fighting humans. She's been fighting God knows what. You know, like.
Yep.
And I also really like the idea of her seeming super gruff, but then when you talk to her, she's like the kindest, most considerate person ever.
Yep.
Really play with those expectations of having this brutal, battered, grisly person just be.
I love that because at the end of the day, she did decide to like settle down and cooperate with a bunch of other people to like build something instead of just getting paid to shove swords into things.
Yeah.
So I like that there's more person behind the scars and stuff than people probably expect or would think.
I just get the picture in my head that she hates the name. She hates that they named it after her.
It was not her decision.
So she never says the proper name. She just says the outpost.
Yeah, outpost, yeah. She's probably more concerned about keeping things moving and making sure everybody's clothed and fed and defended rather than like playing power games and stuff.
Yeah. I'm going to just switch back to this. There we go. So my initial thought, what do you think of that? Bryn.
I like Bryn. I think it gets across exactly the kind of mental picture that you're going for there.
It almost feels like we could super quickly, now that we named it Bryn's Outpost and we've talked about Bryn, we do still have 4 minutes. Maybe we can sneak in a quick create a character and create Bryn.
Oh, sweet. Oh, that'd be cool, yeah.
We'll just call her Bryn for now. Species. Oh, we need to create species. We'll do that later. Birth date. Okay. We'll get back to that. We can talk about age though.
Do you feel like she's sort of middle-aged?
Yeah, I was
she's
thinking
past like her fighting prime.
I don't know why, but the
not
number
the-
38 popped into my head.
I can see that. Yeah.
It's like
Kind of
still kind of young, but in the older end of young.
Yeah, she's like on the
for a fantasy
cusp
world.
of that physical prime for like physically getting out and fighting monsters and shit
Yeah, let's go
before
38
things
then.
start to get. Yeah, I like that. Still carrying some of the wisdom of lived experience.
I was about to be like, oh, blue eyes, blonde hair, because I started seeing Brienne of Tarth.
Right.
I think we're going to have to come back to the nitty-gritty of this because we only have 2 minutes
Sure.
left. But at least now
Cool.
we have
Yeah.
created her, and we have
Yes.
a sort of image. I'm just going to... one eye...
Got something to expand on now.
I'm just writing down the very basics. One-eyed, scarred, looks mean, but is nice. She hates that the outpost was named after her. Okay, we'll do that for now, and
Cool.
I just want to say, first of all, Eli, thank you so much for joining me, and we have a place to raid. Awesome. And
Yay!
also, everyone in chat, all the ideas, all the suggestions. My God, this was so much more than I dared to hope for the first stream, and so many amazing ideas that really just, like, I can't stop thinking about it now. And I'm so excited to continue this next week. So for all of you in chat, thank you so much. And if you really like this, please just hit the follower button so you can smash subscribe button like thing. No, but in all seriousness, on top of this, we also do a bunch of other streams, and a lot of them are spontaneous, so that way you have a way to know when we are streaming. But this one will be regular. Every Sunday at 7 o'clock, GMT +1, noon at... Aw, B-Chip, that's nice of you. We look forward to having you on the next stream. Eli, where can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me here on Twitch at Dungeon Master Eli. I have a Facebook set up as well and a YouTube for archiving under the same name. Yeah, I'm currently playing some D&D 5e Saturdays 7 Central Standard Time on my end. Other than that, I sort of do the same thing. Just some, just as time and energy allow, do some streams throughout the week, video game content, horror RPGs, Jackbox games. So, yeah, you can just find me here on my channel.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh yes, and Call of Cthulhu shortly on this channel too. Probably in probably month and a half, give or take.
All
We're
right.
pumped.
Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you next week. Don't forget to sign up for the Discord. You can send suggestions and ideas you have over the week. Link will be in the description soon. And please stick around as we raid someone. Which
Raiding party.
Sarah has figured out who already.
We're gonna raid the gates of Aquayan.
Raiding a D&D group. Awesome.
Woo!
Let's go.
Yeah. Rattle your sabers. Oh.
I need to stop the stream. Okay. Stick around for the
Bye.
raid. Thank you, guys. Take care.